Okay, another fun episode, I hope. Let's talk about a little bit about Andrew Tate. For those of you who have lived under a rock for a while, he's a person that has become recently very popular on social media. We may use a definition of an influencer. Even though my personal belief that these influencers, there's a big difference of, to me at least, what an influencer is. One is a one that tries to enable change, help people, and then the other person is a person that stands to gain something only for their own benefit. I think Andrew Tate is the latter, right? Do I agree with a lot of the stuff he says? Absolutely. It's actually common sense, right? But if you look at his videos, the intent there is not to solve anything. It's not to help. The intent is to capture the attention. That's why most videos or most clips are on Instagram or somewhere else. They're typically maybe 60 seconds most. Why? Because that's the attention span of a typical Instagram user. And I'm sorry to say that. I know it's biased, and I know this may be unpopular with some of you, but I'll give you an example of Ukraine. What happened? What happened with Ukraine? It's still going on. The fighting is fiercer than it has ever been. But the whole Instagram has selectively forgotten about it. And they have forgotten about it a long time ago. That's called the attention span, right? We have an attention span of a 5-year-old. It's called out of sight, out of mind. You show a 5-year-old a toy, and if it's in front of him, he wants it. You put it behind your back, and then he doesn't see it anymore. He doesn't know where it is. His brain is not intelligent enough to know it's behind your back. He walks away. You do that to a 14-year-old or a 15-year-old, and the person says, oh, yeah, it's behind your back. I still want it. So that's why you see those clips being so short. And that's my personal opinion, right? So to me, Tate, I admire his gangsta or his strategy in getting popularity, because then that for him created money. I'm going to get into where he is and where I think he made a mistake. But to me, he's a different type of an influencer, right? So while I understand it, I acknowledge it, while I think it's effective, I don't admire him. He has not told me any solution. He has said things that are zingers. They incentivize, they capture attention for a moment, but they're not designed to solve. They're not designed to make you a better person, right? And I understand there may be a limited window of time you have, and that's not his intent. But this is my intent with the podcast and the conversations that I have. They're unscripted, unedited. I'm sitting here right before I'm going to go to the gym, because my target audience are people who actually are willing to put in the effort, who are not just motivated within for 3 seconds, but people that understand that it's going to take a lot of work, a lot of listening, a lot of hard work to make it somewhere, to enable change and so forth. But so anyway, Andrew Tate. So even the subtitles that you see on videos, and everybody's picking this up now, you see subtitles, right? Now, from my experience, when I look at it, subtitles are typically when you don't speak that language. Now, if you're an English-speaking person and you're sitting in the United States and you hear him talk, and he talks pretty clearly, right? He doesn't have like a heavy Borat accent like I do. So he speaks pretty clearly. So what are the subtitles for, right? They're for idiots. That's what they are for, right? They're for people that don't speak the language. What does that mean, right? They're for people to capture your attention. And it's actually taking away from you listening and internalizing what the person's saying, and it's focusing on you reading, right? And then maybe clicking somewhere else, because most of these things are monetized one way or another, whether it's through fame and then with that somehow money, or whether it's through a link to a product or a service, which then is money, right? Or it should be at least. So anyways, that's a little bit about what I think about Andrew Tate. Now, for those of you guys that follow the current situation, or you may have heard, he was in Romania. I think he's Romanian, I'm not sure. And he's in jail, right? He's in jail for the stuff he's allegedly done before, right? I do think personally that, and that's going to let me segue into another thought that I had, right? Or another thing I want to present. And it's knowing when to quit. Right? Knowing when you're ahead. Most of our lives we play defense. Most of our lives we play offense, rightfully so. We try to make more money, we try to get a better quality of life, and we keep grinding and grinding, right? But you have to know where, at what point to start playing defense and start weighing more towards defense than offense, right? Because once you have something, that balance in risk, that appetite in risk has to shift. If it doesn't, you stand to lose everything you've gained. And then, if you guys know, it takes a long ass time to build something, anything, right? So you should shift on defense once you've established a level that you're I don't want to say happy with, because I'm never really happy or content. I feel like content is a virus. That's nothing cutthroat. That's just the approach I have. But maybe I'll use the word satisfied. Maybe it's not a better word. But then you should focus on defense. Now, take like most drug leaders that say there are successful drug leaders, right? I'm not suggesting you take this on as a profession at all. Quite the contrary. Huge risk. You don't want to do it. Everything you will earn, you will burn. So anyway, so there's drug leaders. Say you are a successful one, and I'm using this example as an extreme example and very polarizing. You made $1 million, right? You got to know when to stop, because you know the impact of the risk you are taking is huge, right? So to me, Tate didn't know when to stop. And what do I mean by that specifically? He opened his mouth about the UK royal family. I think it was Prince Charles or Prince Henry. I don't follow them. So, but his wife, he said, she's not black. I'll know if she's black if she cooks me chicken. Now, you got to know when it's time to step back and acknowledge, right? Acknowledge what? Somebody that has more resources, more power than you, and definitely more leverage, right? Why? Because that's the way the world is structured. You don't want to fight against the system. You don't want to fight against somebody that has billions of dollars, or that has, media and everybody else at their disposal. Why? Because they'll make you burn through your money, and without money, there's little incentive. There's little enablement of change, that you can do. I'm sorry to say it that way. We can get into that later. But so he opened his mouth, and he didn't know when to stop. You got to know when to shut up. And this is what happened, right? He got accused of, I guess, I don't know, being with a prostitute, or sleeping, or exposing, exploiting, I don't know, something like that. But to me, all that is irrelevant, right? I'm not going to get into whether he's guilty or not. That's not the intent. What I see is he's an overnight failure, right? Because he didn't know when to play defense. He didn't know when to stop. It took you 2 minutes to raise to fame through whatever strategy you did. And now you risked it all? For what? To sit in jail? And now you're going to be trying to righteous and argue some points? That wasn't your approach. You're not a righteous person. That wasn't what you were conveying across through your messages. So that approach itself is stupid. Oh, I'll stick to the matrix, they and them, and I'll be righteous and I'll be true to myself. You're not true to yourself. You're not going to lie. You're not going to say, hey, if I'm in this type of business, if I'm a drug leader, I can't say I'm true to myself. I'm sorry. Hope I'm not offending anybody that is doing any sorts of things like this. But anyway, so that's my little comment on Tate. Comment, let me know what you think. Let me know if I'm wrong. Let me know if you think I'm wrong. And looking forward to hearing some comments. Thanks.